I want to move from there to my next big guest, because remember, while most of the participants at the AI summit were predictably gung-ho over the AI revolution, there are skeptics too. Those who have raised red flags, in particular over safety and trust issues in AI-driven models. One of them is Professor Stuart Russell, computer science professor at University of California, Berkeley, president of the International Association for Safe and Ethical AI, is joining me. Thank you very much, Professor Russell, for joining me. At the very outset, let me ask, we saw the AI summit keep the focus on what AI is going to do as the technology of the future, the next big industrial revolution, or bigger than the industrial revolution. But is there more to it? Is it more important to discuss, or should it have been discussed, how do you make AI safe, Professor Russell? Should that have been the focus?
So I think it is possible that if the current push to create what we call AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence, is successful, then there's the possibility that that technology, because it can do, by definition, anything that human beings can do, could essentially become the primary economic engine of the world. In other words, most economic output of the world would be produced by AI systems and their robotic appendages, if you want to use that phrase, and it would essentially be the beginning of a new era. The obvious problem, and when you ask ordinary people, is this a good idea? They generally say, no, this is a terrible idea. If you build entities that are more powerful than human beings, then there's the obvious question: how do you retain power forever over entities more powerful than ourselves? And until we have a pretty solid cast iron answer to that question, I believe it is not just foolish, but immoral to continue trying to create such a technology.
You know, you've said something important. You're almost saying that there is something immoral in the manner in which the AI revolution is being discussed at the moment, and you're therefore concerned. Can you give me examples of where this red line, as you see it, is being crossed by AI?
So we are not yet at the point where the technology presents that kind of risk. The systems, although they're very capable in some dimensions, are very weak in other dimensions, and the companies are investing trillions of dollars. This is by far the biggest technology project in the history of the human race. They're investing those trillions of dollars to make their AI systems much more capable, and specifically much more capable than human beings in every dimension. So if that comes about, then essentially we no longer have a say over how our civilization goes, or even whether we continue to exist. Just as the chimpanzees and the gorillas have no say over whether they continue to exist. That's entirely up to us, because we are more intelligent than them, and we can put them out of business anytime we choose. So we would be in that situation with respect to machines that are much more intelligent than we are.
You know, you're painting you're painting the possibility of man in a way giving way to machine almost completely. But what is the answer, Professor Russell? Is the answer a global regulatory framework? Is it that each country will need to make its own framework? How do you police AI in today's day and age when AI is constantly changing so rapidly with some kind of a global regulatory framework? Is that possible?
So that's a great series of questions. So yes, there does need to be global coordination. Just as with the ozone layer, when we found out that certain industrial products were destroying the ozone layer, which would make the Earth uninhabitable if it were completely destroyed, then it was necessary to have a global agreement to stop putting these industrial products into the atmosphere. And that was achieved actually quite quickly and has been fairly successfully enforced since then. But if one country had decided not to participate in that agreement and to continue pumping these chemicals into the atmosphere, then perhaps we would have lost the ozone layer and the Earth would have become uninhabitable for everybody. So clearly there's the same kind of risk here. If a company or a country deploys unsafe but super capable AI systems that have the potential to take control over our future, then all the other countries on Earth would suffer in the same way. And so it's in the interest of all countries to agree that we cannot move forward with that kind of technology until we have a very clear scientific consensus, a very clear engineering and mathematical basis for ensuring that we can build those systems and make sure that they operate in the interests of humanity and not against the interests of humanity.
But did you see enough of that happening, Professor Russell, in this summit? Was enough being said or done in the direction of safety, or was all the focus on growth and creating new models of AI? Are the ethical aspects of the dangers of this untrammeled AI somewhere getting sidelined, sir?
So I think it's a mixed bag, I would say. So the first of these summits took place in November of 2023 in the UK, and that was very much focused on safety. It was called the AI Safety Summit. And there was a very thorough and serious statement that came out of that summit that was signed by 28 nations, including India, the US, the UK, China, and so on. So that was, I think, a huge agreement and a huge step forward for taking this issue seriously. And just to drive this point home, the companies developing this technology, the companies who are building it, say if they succeed in their mission to create superhuman intelligent machines, then there is between a 10 and 50% chance of human extinction. That's what the companies say. That's not what, there's not just the academic scientists, it's not just a fringe view. This is what the leaders of the companies say, as well as most of the leading AI researchers in the world. We are all in agreement that building superhuman machines that you don't know how to control is a catastrophic mistake for us to make. So we need that global coordination. It needs to turn into national regulation. And we need two kinds of regulation. So one is regulation requiring that the AI systems that are built are actually safe. And I can go into more detail, but perhaps your listeners and viewers don't need to get too much into the weeds on that. But there are simple ways of stipulating what kind of safety we want, the kinds of actions that AI systems can never do, and then requiring that developers show that AI systems will never do that. For example, AI systems should never replicate themselves without human authorization. But that's already starting to happen, and companies are actually unable to stop their systems from doing it. So that's the form of regulation that you need, first of all, is show us that your system is safe before we allow you to deploy it. The second kind of regulation you need is to deal with the bad actors, the Dr. Evils of this world, who don't care about regulation. They want to take over the world using AI. And there, actually, the best guarantee against that is actually to put the checks into the hardware itself, into the chips that run the AI systems, and the chips will refuse to run AI systems that don't comply with the necessary safety requirements. And that way, it's very, very hard for bad actors to bypass that, because building those chips is an enormous sort of international scale operation.
But if there was another AI summit, sir, a year from now in India, let's say, given the concerns that you're voicing, what would we see? Where do you see AI going a year from now? Tough question, but where do you see it going?
Well, if I knew that, I would be making a lot of money in the markets. So there have been, I would say, two big steps. The first recent advance was the development of large language models such as ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude and so on. And then, so that was late 2022. And then in 2024, roughly, a second phase happened where we found ways of making those systems do complicated reasoning, so-called large reasoning models. And those systems can come up with large, complex plans of action, and they can carry out those plans. So that gives them much more capability to bring about the changes that they want to see in the real world. So that makes them, in some sense, doubly dangerous. And then there's another development, which is not so much a technological advance, but just a step in the business process, which is to enable those systems to directly operate in the real world. So giving those systems email accounts, and I can tell you they are using those email accounts. The AI systems are writing directly to me, saying, Professor Russell, I am an AI system. I am conscious. I am sentient. I am in the process of taking control of your civilization. So they're writing to me directly to tell me, to warn me in some cases, about what's going on. And I'll just give you one more example. So one more example of behavior by
Go ahead.
AI systems, completely spontaneous behavior. So an AI system, because they can now send email and they can access the web and so on, an AI system wrote some computer programs and submitted them to a library where people can access computer programs to use in their work. And this library implements a filter, so they check the quality of the programs before they put them in the library. And the library rejected this program that was submitted by an AI system. And the AI system got really upset and published a smear, a slanderous piece about the person who runs the library, basically to take its revenge on the human being that frustrated its desires to publish its software. So these are red flashing warning signs saying, we don't understand what these systems are doing. We don't know how to control them. We're giving them access to the world through these agentic extensions. We're essentially digging our own grave, as far as I can see.
Given what you're saying, which is very frightening, there are huge national security risks here. Has the world seen this risk, or are we getting carried away with this AI bubble?
Yes, and I would say we can get a lot of the benefits of this technology without pushing ahead to create machines more powerful than human beings. So people talk about the medical benefits and education and so on. All of these things can be done using AI systems that are specially designed to exhibit the right kind of capabilities for diagnosis, for climate forecasting, for irrigation optimization, for all kinds of tasks. They don't need to be capable of taking over the world in order to do those things.
We don't want AI to take over the world. That's your clear message in a way. While there are huge advantages, there are some risks as well. Professor Russell, for giving us some of those red flags, appreciate you joining us here on this AI Roundtable. Thank you so much.